Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Connect to Florida. On Sunday, I like to do a recap of the week. I'd like to talk to you about anything that was significant, all things related to Florida real estate. So let's jump into it because we have quite a few things to talk about. All right, let's begin with the first one. Everyone's best friend, yours and mine, our good old buddy, Chair Jerome Powell. Remember, let's just recap, let's just remind ourselves of what our friend Jerome said, which was in 2024, he said there would be about 6 reductions in interest rate for the mortgage rates. And then he changed it to 4, and then he changed it to 2. So as of last week, he said, things are just not quite going the way that I thought. And our economy, the inflation is so much better than I thought it was actually going to be. So listen, you'll be lucky if I don't raise rates. Now, did he say those exact words? No, but if we judge him on his actions and his words, it appears that that is probably exactly what's going on. We will be lucky if he does not hit us with some rate hikes. And why is that? Well, you know what? I'm just going to tell it like it is because that's what I do on this channel. This is just my impression of what's going on here. But I feel that everything they're doing has the opposite effect. It's sort of like a guidebook for what not to do to make things better. They misjudge everything. They're out of touch to a level. This is what I always say. I'll just stop and start there. People have to look at things globally. You too, my audience here as well. If we're thinking about buying a property, you're not going to just only solely look at that house and the payment on that house. You have to look at your situation globally. And that's what I think is being missed. When you're saying inflation numbers are better or are good or are stabilized, but everyone in the country is saying, I can't afford eggs. I can't afford to work. I can't afford to live where I work. That's a problem. And that's what I think is getting missed, is that globally, across the board, because everything is higher, something has to give. Everyone knows at this point that the real estate market is, let's just be kind and say it's in an incredibly challenging position right now. Maybe we could say that. Don't forget about the lawsuit. And you may not be very, very tied to that as a buyer or a seller, but as a real estate agent, I'm very connected to that. And I see what's going on with that. 2 times last week. Now, these changes, the NAR settlement, those changes are not supposed to take effect until July. But already, just 2 times last week, I got emails from people that are wanting to work with me, find them something in Southwest Florida, and both people asked me how much they need to anticipate paying for the buyer's agent, which in this case would be me. So here I am. Think about this. I want to start to build a rapport with this buyer. I want to find out everything about what they want, how they want to live, what their budget is, how they envision themselves living. I want to make sure that they know the good with the bad. I want to make sure they know all about, insurance problems and floodplain issues, and where a floodplain is not exactly deemed a floodplain, but I know that it floods. Let's talk about polybutylene pipes. Let's talk about radon, all these things. But the first thing I have to do is make sure that I get a buyer's agency agreement with them dictating how much they're going to pay me or not. That is uncomfortable on all levels, at least for me. Listen, I've been doing this 26 years. I want to focus on the buyer. I don't want to focus on my pay prior to even getting to know the buyer. That's just me. You may not agree with me. You might say,
well, you know what? I'd rather talk pay up front.
What if you don't even want to work with me? You know, what if we're not a good fit? So all these things, these are things we're connected to as agents. And if you're considering buying, that's going to be really important, because come July, the game is changing. The game is going to change. But that's a totally different video. We're not going to talk about that one now, because we have a little time to sort that out, and nothing is ratified yet. Although we anticipate that it will be, nothing is ratified yet. That's another thing that came out this past week, is that they've taken some steps towards approval on that settlement. And again, the big thing for you, if you're a buyer, the big thing for you to know as a buyer is that come July, you should be having a conversation with your agent in terms of pay. Because if the seller says we're going to offer the buyer's agent $0, your agent's not going to work for $0. You're going to get $0 worth of good advice and direction. So have the conversation up front. Be prepared to kind of say, how much am I willing to be in? How much am I willing to pay this person to give me good, sound, strong advice if I have to? If I have to. So listen, if the seller says they will pay the agent's commission, then you don't have to pay anything. But have a reasonable conversation with your agent so that you're prepared, because especially if you're a first-time buyer, or if you're looking, let's say you're looking the $1 million range, and all the houses that you have chosen end up that the seller is saying they're not going to contribute anything at all to the buyer's agent's commission. Well, that, like I said, that buyer's agent isn't going to work for free. All right, let me get my phone out here. The next thing I want to talk to you about came directly out of NABOR, the Naples Area Board of Realtors. This one is important. So in March of 2024, overall listings are up 68%. Can you believe that? 68%. Incredible. That equals 5,283 listings, active listings in Naples. Which is paradise, right? We all know it's paradise. Is it paradise? I don't know. Maybe to you. 5,283. Overall pending sales are down 6%. Median closed price. Now here's where it's weird, okay? Listings are through the ceiling. 68% up. Overall median closed price is up 6%. It's up in Naples. 649,000 is the average. What does that tell you? That means that the 1% is still buying, but everybody else is sitting like bricks. 68% sitting like bricks. But sale price is up. That is that phenomena that we've been talking about, that there is an abundance. I picture in my mind, like a net and these fish or houses being dumped on the net, and they're holding, yep, bring us more. Well, guess what's going to happen? Eventually, the bottom's going to rip out. It hasn't happened yet, but I'm telling you, I have a video coming out. I just recently analyzed all of the numbers, and I really think mid-2025 is going to be something. It's going to be something. New listings are up, of course, 7%. This is in March. Overall closed sales are down 14%. Days on market, ready for this, up 40%. So there you go. Right now they're sitting right at 70 days as a whole in Naples. So what does that tell us? That tells us what we know. Picture the fish falling through the net. It's still holding. But eventually that's going to fall through. And if you've got yourself positioned well, you should be in really good shape to take advantage of something. I would right now, my best advice to you is, if you know you're going to buy in Florida, you're going to do it, and you know that you probably want to be in the Naples area roundabout, get ready, cash if you can. Pull a HELOC, a home equity line of credit on your house if you can, if it makes good global sense for you to do it. Get cash freed up. Do what you can to get yourself cash ready, because you are going to be the strongest buyer. You want to be ready. 2025, I would say mid-2025, that's going to be your buying opportunity to wave those dollars and say, but here I am to save you. So those were the biggest stories of last week here in the area in Florida, specific to Southwest Florida. Next Sunday, I'll be sure to take a look around the rest of the state. There wasn't a whole lot of activity going on in the rest of the state other than, the common usual, the insurance problems. Obviously, we talked about the rates and the potential rate hike. That'll affect the state as well, and of course the entire country as a whole. But the big changes that I saw really were Southwest Florida again.